But you know, this is a Winnie the Pooh problem, okay? If you have stretched this way and you have stretched this way, and you kind of have to pick. You don't get both. That's why Winnie the Pooh's shirt is too short. My daughters and I are always like, is this a Winnie the Pooh shirt? Like, am I too fat for this shirt and therefore it has become short? Hey knitters, welcome to episode 230 of the Knitty McPurly podcast. I'm your host, Devin You can find me on Instagram as Knitty McPurly. I am at Devin at KnittyMcPurly.com if you want to email me. And my website is KnittyMcPurly.com. I totally said that in a crazy way today, but it worked out. We're leaning into it. Please like the video, subscribe if you are new, and welcome to the channel, to the podcast. Happy Independence Day. I hope you are having a great weekend filled with watermelon and fighter jets and bald eagles and just Murica. I'm drinking out of my California mug this morning. This is my third cup of coffee today, which is ill-advised because I get a little crazy. So, welcome to the Crazy Podcast. We have had amazing weather. Yesterday was like low humidity, mid 80s, sunny. It was perfection. I'm hoping for that today too. I took my walk a little bit later this morning, and it was still pretty nice. So it's great. I am wearing my Diggory tee. This is the one. It's a little bit patriotic, I think, sort of. I've got Fathom, which is my dark blue here, and Bougie, which is kind of a light pink, in mohair. So I've got, this is a Frankfurt fingering Munich mohair combo of the Diggory tee, which is a great way to knit it. Lots of people have done it like this and it comes out super good. It's really comfy too. And today's the perfect day for it because it's not crazy hot. If it's 95 degrees, I am going all in on my Fiji fingering knits because they are so much cooler. But today I'm wearing this. I got the fan on. I am feeling good. Excuse me. I just crossed over 8,000 followers on Instagram. Yay. Thank you so much for following me over on Instagram. I really appreciate that. I hope to get more pictures up as I move kids on out of my house. My 17-year career as a homeschooler is coming to an end this year. Very excited. So I have a little more time to do things like take pictures and put them on Instagram, I hope. All right, let's move on to progress and shop news. First of all, July's color of the month is on the website. You might think, geez, Devin, these are colors that you just already have, but you've kind of compiled them in a patriotic way. And you would be correct if you thought that. But I really wanted to do something patriotic for the 4th of July. So July's color of the month is available in 20-gram minis as Frankfurt fingering or Dubrovnik DK. It is 6 20-gram minis. 3 colors that represent the flag. We've got the Valentine, the Fathom, and the Jovis, the red, blue, and white. And then 3 colors that represent our American service members with the camo, the River Rock, Bosque, and Black Forest Cake. So I put those together in a little bundle, and you can go get yours if you would like. Quantities are limited, but that's where we are. Okay, the hashtag KMP Summer Cal is underway. I hope you have joined us. I have the rules down below in case you are new and you don't know the rules of the Knitalong. It started on June 15th, but it runs through August 15th. So if you haven't joined in yet, there is still time. There's still plenty of time because we're making summer tops. You can pick any summer top that you want. I am making the Vivian tee by Sari Nordland. And I feel like I worked on this since we talked. Can't remember where I was when we talked last. Did I have the front on there? I think I just had the back piece last time. So you start with this back piece and you can see like the seam right there. And that's where I picked up for the front. You can see how the cables kind of continue. No, I talked about this last week because I messed it up and I had to go back and fix it. Well, now I have joined in the front here. So that's how far I am. I have a neckline, a neck hole. But going is slow because it is a fingering weight top and it's all cables. There's a little bit of moss stitch on the edge, but other than that, it's just cables on cables on cables, a little bit of twisted stitches. But and I really enjoy working on it. I also enjoy setting it aside and working on something else. But luckily, I have till August 15th to finish it. So we are looking on track for that. But I also picked up my Wisteria tank by Joan Ho that I've been working on. Okay, so I got the back done. The back is done. I actually worked the body part of it like a little bit short. I just didn't read carefully. And I didn't realize that I was supposed to knit 9 inches before I started separating for the front and back. I think I only knit 8 and I'm worried it's going to be too short. I'm going to see what I can do with blocking to kind of stretch it a little bit. But this is a Winnie the Pooh problem. Okay. If you have stretched this way and you have stretched this way and you kind of have to pick. You don't get both. That's why Winnie the Pooh's shirt is too short. My daughters and I are always like, is this a Winnie the Pooh shirt? Like, am I too fat for this shirt and therefore it has become short? It's a Winnie the Pooh problem. So I don't know how it will go. It is possible that it will be too short. If it ends up too short, I'll probably give it to Gigi because she is, Gigi's like 5 inches shorter than me. So you give it to a shorter person and then there's a little bit more space in there. However, I do have many pairs of high-waisted pants because that's been the fashion. So we'll see. We'll see how it hits with those pants. If this were like 2005 and everything was low rise, we'd have to knit like just miles and miles to hit the low rise. So yeah, I have been working on both of these things and making really good progress. Here's a funny thing that happened on this pattern. So I did the back, and I don't know, I didn't have the problem on the back, which makes me think this is not Joan's problem. Joan did not create this error, feeling like I created the error. But I ended up having this little like jog here. I fixed it. I just kind of turned it under and stitched it down, which I could have ripped back. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today because we had many different opinions about the ripping back thing that I talked about last time. I could have ripped back and it would have been super easy. The only reason I didn't was I didn't want to. I could have, but I thought I'm just going to fix it like this. I thought I followed the directions, but I ended up with too much this way and then the bind off where the bind off should have happened like down here. And so I just folded it under and I'm feeling super good about that. But I'm not going to blame Joan because I think I'm the only one who had the problem, which means I'm the problem. Am I the problem? I'm the problem. All right, let's get on to the comments section because, oh my goodness, what the heck happened last week? Everybody had something to say. There was quite a kerfluffle. That's not true. There was a little tiny mini kerfluffle last week. It was really no big deal. So last week, I recommended a couple of books that I read and that changed my life. Now, when I say that, I mean this, like I read that book, Why We Get Sick, and I was like, this is why I got cancer. Now, I do the right thing by myself some of the time, and I don't always, but at least I know what that right thing is. Stitches and Prayers vlog says, I am currently being treated for anal squamous cell carcinoma. I immediately went to Audible to purchase that book recommendation, Why We Get Sick. I just finished my second round of 96 hours of chemo and have 6 more radiation treatments, 6 out of 32. Oh, so far my tumor has shrunk 90% and I can't wait to ring that bell in 6 months when the doctor says I am cancer-free. That is so great. I am so glad that you're getting the treatment that you need and that your tumor is shrinking. That is awesome. You might ask the doctors about intermittent fasting and long-term fasting. Wouldn't do it without talking to doctors first, but that apparently is really great for cancer because cancer likes sugar. Okay. LM Emil says, great episode as usual. You have me rethinking the need to rip back everything if it can be incorporated somehow. I absolutely agree with you about Ravelry. The commenters criticizing you have lost any sense of what's appropriate for public consumption. The right that allows Ravelry to post that so-called art also allows you to criticize it. Touché. True that. Yeah, people had a lot of different things to say about what I said about Ravelry. Most of you liked it because you've been here long enough to know who I am and what I'm about. I love Jesus. I love the good, the true, and the beautiful. And when I see something that I feel has attacked that, I may or may not say something. Last week I said something. But some people thought because when they go to Ravelry, they're automatically logged in, they thought that I just didn't like the crocheted pride flag. I don't care. You can crochet a million pride flags, whatever. But if you go to the login page, that was the artwork that I was talking about. Flyover Country said, "This is the first time I watched your podcast and was shocked to hear you call out Ravelry for what it is. Thank you. I know you take a chance doing that in our political climate, but it's good to know that there are some rational people left. I look forward to watching you in the future and supporting you." Thank you so much. Welcome to the podcast. I hope you'll stick around. That is awesome. Christina says, "Just ordered both books you recommended. Love your stance. Keep being amazing and producing great content. I only wish postage was not so crazy to Australia." I know, it's just super far. "I also love all your yarn colors." Awesome. Thank you so much. Irish Bell said, "I missed you too. So glad to see you back. I have to rave about your hand balm. Not only does it smell great, but it is an excellent anti-itch cream. I have the Sanctum, so I don't know if it's just that one or they all do it. They're all the same. The balm is all the same. The base is the same. The only difference is the scent. So yes, they all do it. But the minute I feel a mosquito bite, I rub some on and it instantly feels better." She also says, "One of my favorite nonfiction books is Debs at War, which tells the story of British debutantes helping with the war effort of World War II. It's fascinating. That sounds so good." Also, yes, with the balm. So I have two things to say about the balm. First of all, the Knitty McPurly balm, I have it everywhere in my house. And anytime anyone has anything, like you have a cut, you have a burn, you have chapped lips, you have a sunburn, whatever the problem is, put the balm on. The balm will help. It just has good stuff in it. Second thing I want to say is, where is the balm? Devin, why have you not given us any balm? I'm sorry about that. As I just did this, I realized that I wore this like 3 weeks ago. Gosh darn, I need to find the other one and wear that one. The balm is coming. Sorry, I'm all over the place. But yes, we're going to have balm coming soon. I'm going to do a citronella balm for those of us who like to knit outside and don't want to get bitten up. I did one last year called The Porch, and that was a lot of different smells that bugs didn't like, and I still use that one. Like if I'm going on the porch, I'm going to put the balm on my hands, my whatever is showing, I'm going to put the balm on. And the bugs just don't like it, and that is why I like it. Also, it makes your skin nice, and it's just super good. But that will be coming soon within the next couple of weeks, in July anyway, because I don't know about you, but here in Virginia, August and September are the mosquito months. So we have to have the anti-bug balm for that. Allison, hi Allison, says, "My favorite things about today. You did not fix your knitting mistake. Love that. Charlotte, book suggestions, wrote them all down. And I love when you mention someone by name and I met them at the retreat. Thank you for always taking time to spend with us. It is greatly appreciated. Have a great week. Already looking forward to next week." Well, here it is, Allison. Awesome. So glad you are here. Knock Knits had many comments about AI. Hi, Emily. Love Emily. She says, "I have used AI to help me coordinate and synthesize info from different doctors with different specialties, helping me through my medical journey for the last year or so. It's super helpful when different doctors give you answers based on their specialty, but you still want one overarching opinion that takes all the different things into account. I also have it give me good questions to ask my doctor, which is really good. When you want to push back a little bit, it gives really good ways to ask questions, and it'll notice places where the information needs clarification and give me questions for that. That is super helpful." Now, she says she's tried to use it for swatches for her knitting class, and the AI just doesn't get it. I think it's just not programmed to be a knitter. If AI were programmed to be a knitter, I don't know how you program AI. I don't know anything about that, but probably it would do the stuff that Emily is talking about and that Cheryl talked about on last week's podcast. Probably it could do it if it were programmed to do it, I guess. Tara also wrote me a lengthy email about AI, and she talked about the use of it in her job and how some people love it and some people hate it and some people are afraid of it. They're like, it's going to take over. And she's like, think about, robotics or whatever, the internet. I mean, things that have threatened to take us over before, but then they just kind of become part of our life and we use them as we use them. So I don't know. We'll see. Now I got an email from, what is her name? Barb? Steph? Karen. Thank you, Karen, for sending me this email. She says, I would definitely rip out the cables. Here is a picture. She says, I took an online class several years ago after one of the reviews said the lesson on dropping down to fix mistakes online is worth the price of the class, and they were right. This sweater I made in 2015 is one of the most complicated things I have ever knitted. Not only was it a sweater covered in cables, it was also a test knit for someone who did not speak English as a first language. It was top down and had some crazy math for the sleeves. It was knit in one piece. When I saw my mistake, I could not rip out all those other parts just to fix the one, but luckily I had learned this trick. It was an ambition pattern, but together we refined her beautiful pattern and the sweater turned out so nice. Now, yes, this is a really good point. If you make a mistake in a situation like this, where you've got all this knitting done and you just have a mistake in one place, you can just rip back a little bit. I have done this before, and this was early in my knitting career when I knit Joji Locatelli's opposite pole sweater, which is tons and tons of cables. So I made a mistake where, when you can make the cable lean to the right or to the left, depending on whether you hold the stitches to the front or the back. Well, if you accidentally hold them in the wrong place and your cable that's leaning this way has one jog that's leaning that way, that is a hard no for me. You have to rip that back. Now, I'm not saying you have to rip that back. You should rip that back. But mistakes are like, if you can live with it and you're just fine with it and you feel like it gives it character, fine, live with it. But if there's something that you can't live with, such as Karen's example here and my example with the opposite pole, you can just rip back a small part and re-knit it. This is quite something that she has here. It looks great, super good. So I do know how to do that. I have done it before. I understood that I could do it again here and just chose not to. So you do you, girlfriend. Don't let me tell you what to do. All right, knitting fantasies. Both of my picks today come from Purl Soho. The great thing about Purl Soho, there are many great things about Purl Soho. So this is a New York City yarn store that has an amazing website. They're always going to try to sell you the yarn. And as a result, their patterns, if they're not all free, they are mostly free. And that is really nice, but they're really good patterns. They're not like junky free patterns. They're really nice. So I've chosen two patterns that are free and both good for summer. The first one is the crisscross top. This is so beautiful. It is worked from the bottom up and it's just gorgeous. I love it. The only thing I don't love about it is that it is knitted in worsted weight yarn. They're using 100% merino worsted weight, which in Knitty McPurly world would be my Warsaw worsted. But you could get this yarn anywhere. I mean, you could use Cascade 220 if you wanted to, which is a very, very popular, very affordable worsted weight yarn. I would love to do it in something that had cotton in it or maybe linen. It's hard to find a heavier weight like worsted with a cotton or a linen, but I think that would be beautiful in this. Now, this comes in 6 sizes. It is not size inclusive to modern standards, but still would fit most people. It goes up to a 50-inch bust, and that is almost everyone. So if you're looking for something and you want to jump in on the summer knit along, this would be great. As a worsted weight pattern, it would work up really, really quickly. Also, this would be great for like under a blazer. You know, like this is a great shell that you could wear even in colder months. So if it was worsted and you wanted to wear a blazer over it or something else over it, a cardigan maybe, that would be a good option for that. My second pick is called the Top and Bottom Top. And if you read the copy on their website, they're describing this top as it's very basic, but the details are everything. It has such nice finishing, and I'm not exactly sure what it is because I didn't read that far, around the neck hole and around the armholes. It has a similar construction to the Vivian tee where and I'm not sure if this is top down or bottom up. I don't know which way you're making it, but where the front of it goes to the back and the seam happens in the back. It has a beautiful bottom detail, but I think the most interesting part of this top is the yarn that they used. So the top is 100% silk and the bottom is 100% linen, which is just interesting. Like I really like that. It is a fingering weight. It comes in 8 sizes and it goes up to a 62-inch bust. I love it. It's so simple, but the details make it so, so interesting. All right, let's get on to So Here's What Happened. Today's story comes to us from podcast watcher Debbie. Hi, Debbie. So Debbie says that a couple of years ago, she shared a story of her mom learning to knit with yarn from the 5 and Dime store, and the clerk there taught her how to knit. I remember that story, and it was a couple years ago. So thank you so much, Debbie, for sending me another story. This story, first of all, she has included so many amazing pictures. This little guy is her grandson, and he is just the cutest. And this is a story about his lovey that she made for him. And it makes me think about Tom, who I made for Charlotte. And just the way, Harry is the name of her grandson, just the way that he handles the situation is not the way that Charlotte would handle this situation. Charlotte would go into full-on meltdown mode. So without further ado, here is the story of Harry and his little robot. Debbie says, my 5-year-old grandson, Harry, is so knitworthy. He happily wears the sweaters, hats, and toys I make for him and often goes to the yarn store with me to pick out his favorite colors. Here we are at Hobby Lobby picking out yarn for a Christmas stocking that featured trains, his favorite thing. For Valentine's Day this year, I knitted Louie the Love Bot by Rebecca Danger for Harry in his very favorite colors, green and blue. He immediately named him Romeo. What a fun pattern. Romeo quickly moved up the list of Harry's favorite lovies and soon was accompanying him to pre-K and all around town. My grandma heart grew big when Harry had to choose one toy to bring with him on a family vacation to California, and he picked Romeo. Do you know where this is going? Brace yourself. Unfortunately, somewhere in the shuffle of moving the family of 5 from rental cars to hotel rooms to attractions, you guessed it, Romeo was left behind. Harry and his parents didn't realize this until the last day of their trip. Harry, being the optimistic and creative child that he is, reasoned that Romeo wasn't ready to return home just yet and was staying in California. Maybe he'd even turn up on their porch one day, ready to tell all the stories of their adventures. Needles always at the ready, I used the remaining yarn I had to make Romeo 2.0, but this time I had to reverse the colors because of the amounts of yarn that I had left. You'll notice that this Romeo has a mouth so that he can yell out if misplaced or dropped. I am happy to report that Romeo has been living the good life with Harry and also has an Apple AirTag tucked inside so that he can easily be located should he be misplaced again. We just returned from a camping trip to the Smokies and Harry and Romeo had a great time. Isn't that a great story? Like everything about that story is great. It has such a happy ending. Harry is so creative and optimistic. Charlotte would go into full on meltdown. We would have to go back to California and find Tom if Tom were left behind. Whenever Charlotte is like doing a math problem and it has like some other name, she crosses it out and writes Tom. Tom looms large. And, you know, he has this extremely dramatic personality too. So does Romeo have a voice and a personality? That's an interesting question. Thank you so much, Debbie. I was thinking of Karen who sent the other email. Thank you so much, Debbie, for that wonderful story. Thank you for having such a wonderful grandson. And I hope you all have a great week. And I will see you here. I might not be here next week. There is a possibility that I can accompany my husband on a work trip. And if I can, I'm going to do it. So I may or may not be here this next Saturday. So we shall see. Fingers crossed. All right. Bye, knitters.